Welcome in, Atlanta Falcons fans, to the Atlanta Falcons Fan Show. We're back once again. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis, and we have another special guest with us today, as we have Adnan on today's show today to talk about Falcons football, a Falcoholic writer as well, so definitely someone who definitely covers the Atlanta Falcons. Very credited, as I say. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself? It's good to be here.
I'm doing all right, man. You know, just getting through the day, actually starting the day. So just trying to go from there. But great to start it off with you. And let's just go ahead and dive right into it, man. So first question I want to ask you is, obviously, we know Julio Jones was traded a couple of weeks ago. And one of the, I guess you could say, positives of that trade is that the Falcons were able to free up to $15 million in cap space, help sign their draft class and everything. So with the leftover money remaining after that, do you expect the Falcons to at all maybe bring in a couple of free agents now that they have a little bit more money, or do you expect them to kind of just wait till training camp?
After the draft class gets signed, that'll leave around $8.5 million in cap space, depending on who you ask. I wouldn't expect the Falcons to go on some crazy spending spree with that money. There's a name that's been linked to the Falcons since that Julio Jones trade, and that's Malik Hooker, the former first-round free safety who played for the Indianapolis Colts. I feel like he would be a pretty good addition to the secondary, but the Falcons will want to go into the season having, I would say, at least $4 or $5 million of that and some insurance money. Thomas Dimitroff used to always go into the season with a few $1 million in his back pocket, just in case. A lot of general managers have that same mindset, just in case there is some in-season injury, where then you can, bring in another free agent. You're not just stuck with the guys that are completely on your roster or on your practice squad. And also the Falcons will want to carry over some of that money into next offseason, because we don't know just how much the salary cap will jump next offseason. So Terry Fontenot, from all counts, his main priority right now has been balancing the budget a little bit, fixing that salary cap space, because Thomas Dimitroff absolutely destroyed it in the past few years that he's been here. So, I don't think that budget will be completely balanced for another couple of years or so. But I definitely, to make a long answer short, I definitely would not expect the Falcons to maybe sign more than one free agent with that money.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot of young guys on the team that they've, brought in from the previous years, and I'm sure they want to kind of see what they want to do. Usually when you get in the training camp, you want to see what you got first before you feel like to be making any changes. So I'm sure that's the same approach they're going to take this year. And so next thing I want to get into is on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, again, lost Julio, but overall, you can still say this offense has plenty of talent. There's still, and especially with Kyle Pitts, with potential there to be a great player. So what is your outlook on the Falcons offense so far right now? Obviously, you're going to have some position battles on the offensive line. You obviously, Calvin's going to be your number one. We expect Russell Gage to be two, battle at that slot, maybe Tajay Sharp. How do you view this offense overall? Because I feel like this may be a sneaky, really good year for Matt, because we've kind of seen in the past when he would try to throw the ball to Julio, sometimes he would force it at times. And that's when his numbers would kind of drop when it came to Julio. But when he's in just whoever's open, we've seen what he can do. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's Super Bowl year was one year that you saw that. So do you expect this offense to be still humming this year, or do you expect Julio's loss to actually impact and maybe not make it as great as potentially we maybe thought it could be?
Yes, on both counts. So call me crazy, but I think the Falcons offense will actually even be better this year than it was last year. But obviously, if Julio Jones was a part of that, then I think the ceiling for this offense could have been a possible top 3, top 5 offense. That goes down a little bit just because you can't lose a player of Julio's caliber and really just replace him with a future draft pick and not expect some regression in expectations. But the main reason that I'm so optimistic about this offense is the guy who's calling the plays. Arthur Smith came from the Tennessee Titans, and if you look at what he did with the Titans these past 2 years, he's been, I would say, maybe the best play caller in the NFL. The Titans have had the number 1 red zone offense in the league the past 2 years, and that doesn't just happen without some incredibly creative play calling when when the field gets super shortened. And we've seen just how much the Falcons have struggled with their red zone offense under Dirk Cutter and under Steve Sarkisian in his first year. He was a bit better in his second year. But Dirk Cutter last year was one of the weakest play callers in the league. I would say maybe the worst play caller other than Adam Gase with the New York Jets. And there's a reason why neither of those guys are really employed by an NFL team anymore. But Arthur Smith is an incredibly analytical mind. The Tennessee Titans last year, according to Football Outsiders, were 5th in the NFL in play action percentage. The Atlanta Falcons were 25th. The Titans were number 1 in play action yards per play last season. Play action and pre-snap motion are two things that analytics loves, because, with play action, and you know this as well as I do, the defender, you don't need to establish an incredible run game for play action, just because the defenses read it as something through their entire lives, from Pop Warner through high school through college. They instinctively move forward whenever there's a play action, even if the run game isn't humming. But with the Falcons this year, to be able to utilize that play action, Matt Ryan had his best season under Kyle Shanahan with that bootleg play action type system. He was built for this offense. The Titans were also, I think, last season number 1 in pre-snap motion, which is something that every team should be running more and more, just because the defenses kind of tip their hand in what their matchups are when you do that pre-snap motion. The Falcons were, I think, ran the second or third fewest amount of times last season under Dirk Cutter. But Arthur Smith, I think, will turn this offense into a top 10 unit, and it's just going to get better and better. I would definitely draft Matt Ryan as a sleeper in fantasy football this season. Calvin Ridley isn't going to be much of a sleeper. He's going to be taken in the second round of all drafts. But I definitely see a very, very glistening season for the Falcons offense, just because it'll be Arthur Smith calling the plays. And the Titans offense was top 3 the past 2 seasons, with someone who was a historically mediocre quarterback in Ryan Tannehill throughout his entire career until he got to Tennessee. And I know people will throw Derrick Henry at me in response, but Derrick Henry was in Tennessee for 2 seasons before Arthur Smith took over as the OC, and he really did nothing in those 2 seasons pretty much. Arthur Smith completely unlocked Derrick Henry and his potential.
Yeah, definitely. And I completely agree with what you had to say. I mean, this offense, you think with an offensive mind for the first time in Matt Ryan's career, you would expect, okay, we have a guy who knows what he's doing since Kyle Shanahan, so that should unlock maybe our offense. It may raise everybody's numbers. You never know. Calvin had almost 1,400 yards last year. Could he have even the same or more? I mean, there's a lot of potential here for this offense, like you said, to be even better. And so I'm very excited to see that. But then if we switch over to the defensive side of the ball, obviously we're probably going to have, I said, around 6 to 7 new starters on defense. So half of the defense is going to be changed. We got Dean Pease coming in, also last coach with Tennessee. Just tell me your expectations. I've always said, if we could make improvement to 15th, 16th, but be really good situationally, that's an improvement, because we've been terribly situationally the last few years. And so I think that would be improvement for this defense. But what do you think? Do you see, okay, we're having half the defense change, so the defense is going to be upgraded, or what do you see Dean Pease's impact on the defense being?
Dean Pease is historically someone who has taken defenses that don't have too much talent, and he's elevated their ceiling. We see what he did in his last season with Tennessee, which was 2 years ago, where that Titans defense didn't have much talent at all, and they finished a solid middle of the pack type defense. And Dean Pease and Arthur Smith, they were kind of the drivers of that Titans team getting to the NFC Championship game. I know a lot of Titans fans were very upset that Dean Pease came out of retirement to coach with Arthur Smith with the Atlanta Falcons, because they really did miss him. They missed his impact last year when Tennessee was a pretty terrible defense. The Falcons don't have an incredible amount of talent on defense. Of course, there are singular names. There's Deion Jones. There's Grady Jarrett. I'm very high on AJ Terrell. I think he has a future as a Pro Bowler in the NFL, maybe even this season, if not next season. But overall, as a unit, the Falcons aren't going to stand out as one of the most talented defensive units. But Dean Pease has that potential to kind of raise their ceiling the way he did in Tennessee. And to me, if the defense is, in the teens, ranked in the teens, 19, 18, even up to 15 or 16, I would think of that as a major win. And like you said, the defense hasn't really had those timely turnovers forced. We see it last season. I think there was only one instance where, the team really, really needed a turnover, a game-breaking play, and they just never got it, except for that Carolina Panthers game where it was actually Bleedy Ray Wilson, of all people, who got that interception on that Thursday night game. But the team has added some playmakers in the draft. The first name that comes to mind is Richie Grant, who was fantastic down at UCF. He's someone who really fits that mold of the Dean Pease defense. I would like to see them add, maybe another defensive piece. I mentioned Malik Hooker, maybe someone like a Melvin Ingram as a pass rusher, possibly. But overall, the defense is still the most concerning end of the ball this season, just like they have in the past few years. But I don't think they'll be the dumpster fire that we saw from them the last couple of years under Dan Quinn.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of Falcon fans are definitely hoping for that because, you would think, again, with the offense we have, if the defense can be, like I said, respectable in the teens, it would give us a lot of chances in a lot of games. And I think that's the biggest thing, just to be competitive. And, if we can steal a couple of games because we were getting some turnovers late, I mean, that's going to be key, and maybe having a more successful first season than some people think the Falcons may have. So, but I appreciate you coming on to the show, sir. Thank you taking time out to come on and talk about the Falcons. Definitely appreciated. Atlanta Falcons fans, that is your Atlanta Falcons Fan Show. Adnan, tell them where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Twitter at SayWhich I'm mostly only on Twitter, just talking Atlanta sports, talking about the Falcons right now, about the Hawks a lot, now that they're having their playoff run. And you can find my work over at thefalcoholic.com, just our site for everything Falcons related.
Yes, sir. It's great stuff. Great work. Like I said, appreciate you for coming on. Like I said, that's your show. We're out of here.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic in team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre- and post-production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution, and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.